What the heck am I gonna craft this week? Oh! I got nothing every time, man. I know what I need. Montage. Well, that didn't work. What am I gonna do for a video this week? Oh, that was easy. Alright, we're gonna launch right into it this week. I'm using Wicket & Craig buck brown harness leather in 6 to 7 ounces thick for this project. I roughly cut out the finished shape so that I'll have something easier to work with. I first like to cut a straight edge on my projects so I can make my measurements from that. This ended up being roughly 2 1/4 inches by 17 3/4 inch in length. I cut out those dimensions I marked using my rotary knife, but you can use a box cutter, X-Acto blade, or scissors if you got them. This is the front panel of the sheath, measuring 2 1/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches, from the tip to the hilt of the blade. Hilt? Is that the right word? Let me know in the comments. After I cut it out, I used the old sheath as a sort of template I could trace from. This saved me tons of time and effort. I cut it out, then used that piece as a template for the back piece to trace onto, and cut that out. Here I'm marking where the front panel will sit. Then again, I'm using the old sheath as a template. I like the way the sheath tapered, so I'm transferring that shape onto the new sheath. And cut that out. Before assembling, I'm going to bevel, die, and burnish the exposed edges. For the flap that's tucked underneath the front panel, I'm going to use my French edger to taper the edge for easier construction. Then I marked the 5/8 inch strap that's going to have a button snap to secure the knife. And cut that out. Then beveled, dyed, and burnished that along with the remainder. I tested out some punches on a scrap piece for the securing strap, so that made it easier to transfer the holes onto the front of the piece before punching that out. This punch set is from Amazon, has something like over 30 shapes and is rather inexpensive. It makes it easier to cleanly punch out shapes like this when you need to. I'll link it below, although some cleanup afterwards is necessary. Stephanie wanted her grandfather's initials on the front of the piece, so I'm using my 6mm set from Tandy to emboss those letters. Now it's time to start gluing up this piece. I started with the front flap using EcoWeld, a water-based adhesive. I recommend hammering down your glued pieces to ensure adhesion. Then I roughed up the sides where I'm going to be applying glue so that I have something for the glue to grab onto. And then glued up the front piece. After some time drying, I'm using my Japanese knife to cut any extra leather from the edges. I sanded the edges with a 200 grit attachment on my rotary Dremel tool and then beveled it. For the stitching line, I measured the same exact distance on the old sheath. Then I'm using my KS blade punch pricking irons to hammer out the stitching holes. And then I stitched this up using ecru colored waxed polycord, light to medium weight from Main Thread Company. When finished, I cut the ends and burned them down. I also recommend hammering your stitches flat. To me, they tend to look a little nicer this way. I wanted to hydrate and darken the piece a bit by using some mink oil. After that dried, I also wanted to use some Smith's Leather Balm, again to hydrate and darken the leather a bit. When that had enough time to absorb, I wiped off the excess and gave a brief buffing. Now on to the edge work. I started with 220 grit sandpaper and burnished with water, then repeated that again. Even with that, it doesn't look too bad. I then went back to sand with 220 grit. And made sure to dye the edges out of frame. Sorry. After the edges dried, I applied Tokonol clear edge dressing and burnished. Gave a sanding of 400 grit, more Tokonol, burnished with canvas, 800 grit sanding, Tokonol, and polished with soft cotton. Then I applied some beeswax, pre-melted the wax, and burnished. Now it's time to add the double cap rivets. I'm going with antique brass. Here's the placement to match the old one. I pressed the cap to indent where the rivet should sit, then punched out the holes. The rivets should sit on the inside of the stitch line to protect the stitching from being cut. I wanted to install the first two to get a feel for how they would look before moving on to the others. Then I just did the same to the others. Once that was done, I did a brief knife test fit. Now onto the securing strap. I indented with my fingernail where I thought the strap should end and then punched out the strap ends I wanted. And of course needed to match the rest by beveling, dyeing, and burnishing. For the line 20 snaps, I placed them and marked where I liked them to sit before punching out the holes and installing. I had to install the strap first before adding the other side of the line 20 snap. Otherwise, I might not be able to get it through the holes. Lastly, since I wanted this to be as accurate as possible to the old one, I added a drain hole onto the new sheath. And that's it, but let's check out some B-roll. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I am honored to craft an heirloom like this. Legacy brand leather to me is about passing the torch, sharing a passion, craft, or heirloom with the next generation. My hope is that this new sheath will serve Stephanie well and honor her grandfather's memory. If you try your very own knife sheath like this one, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see it. Go ahead and give me a follow there. I post product photos, process photos, and general rugged vibes. If you want to support my channel, unlock special perks, including giveaways, head to my Patreon at patreon.com/legacybrandleather. If you like this video, please hit that like button below and please subscribe. That shows me that you want to see more videos and more content like this. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video, if I knew what to craft.